Hey everybody, this is Stuart with Wine on the Dime, and today I'm going to be reviewing, well, this wine. But before I get into it, I do have a special guest for you today. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Vince so he can talk to you a little bit about Syrah and Shiraz.
Hey there, Wine on the Dime. This is certified sommelier, Vince.Wine. Thanks for having me. Today I am really excited to pop open the cork on some Syrah. Syrah is one of the world's leading varietals, and it's no wonder why. It's such a great food wine. Typically, you're going to find a lot of really good acidity in there. It's really popular for having smoky characteristics, and often some really intense black pepper all over this gorgeous red fruit. Originally, Syrah finds its home in the Rhône region of France. Here I have a classic côtes-du-rhône. The Rhône region is divided into two areas. You've got the northern Rhône, which is 100% from Syrah. These are strictly Syrah grapes with no blends, with Hermitage and Croz's Hermitage being some of the most sought after fruit. Then just underneath that, you've got the southern Rhône region, which now starts to introduce blends. And these are really great varietals together. You still have Syrah-led wines, but now you're blending in Grenache and Mourvèdre, among others, but those are the most typical, with Châteauneuf-du-Pape being one of the best examples from southern Rhône. Now, the cool thing about French Syrah is that the Rhône region is a cooler wine-growing region. So from there, you get more of that sort of black pepper, a lot of terroir that's found in the old world, sort of think those earthy flavors. It's got that rustic nose on it usually, and really pretty light fruit with high acidity. And acidity is so important in a wine because that's what holds up to really good food. Let's take the palate on this guy. Oh, this is definitely about that really pretty red fruit. I'm getting like raspberries in here, a lot of fresh red fruit, a little bit of dried red fruit as well, with sort of that savory finish. Think like almost like grilled meat and black pepper. Pretty nice. Check out the color on this bad boy. You can see that it's a really beautiful ruby red here with low concentration, which means I can sort of see my hand right through it. And that ruby red color and low concentration is pretty indicative of French Syrah. It sort of has a lighter body, even though it has a really nice full mouthfeel with a lot of complexity and stuff happening on the palate. Oh, that's good. Now contrast this with warm climate Syrahs. Think Australian Shiraz, or even California's Paso Robles, which is really popular for Rhône regions like Syrah. Those are warm climate wine growing regions, so they produce a much deeper, richer, black and inky style of Syrah. Instead of focusing on acidity, warm climate Syrahs tend to focus a lot more on tannin structure. That means they're going to be a lot more intense on the palate. That real gripping, sort of drying thing that you can get on the palate from wine, that's that tannin. And tannin is just as important as acidity in wine. Acidity holds up to acidic foods, but tannin is gonna cut into anything rich that you're eating. Think like hard cheeses or marbled red meats with a lot of fattiness on them. Yeah, those big, rich Syrahs, perfect pairing. Now, warm climate Syrah may show some of that pepperiness as well, but in those warmer New World regions, instead of pepper, you end up finding something like grilled meat and barbecue. You get a lot of this sort of smokiness that shows up instead of black pepper. Really, really cool, very tasty. And again, perfect with grilled meats, barbecue, and heavily seasoned peppered foods. So Syrah ends up being a really versatile wine, and no wonder why it's popular all over the world. It's a great food companion, and it plays well with other varietals in blends for a more interesting wine. Okay, I know that was a crash course on Syrah, and I barely just touched the surface. There's literally a whole world of fantastic Syrahs out there, and I encourage you guys to go explore them. And Stuart, I know you're about to show them another great one. Stuart, thanks again for having me. Go check me out over at Vince.Wine. I make new videos every single Saturday. Wine on the Dime, back to you.
All right, so thanks, Vince. Let's go ahead and get into this bottle of wine. This is the 2017 Clarevale Shiraz. It's from Clare Valley, Australia. It is 14.5% alcohol by volume, and I paid rounding up $13 for it at Total Wine and More. First of all, screw top, +1. So I went with this one because, first of all, Vince did a French wine, and I wanted to kind of talk about, assuming I don't spill it everywhere because I'm a klutz today. I wanted to talk about the other aspect of it, the Shiraz, the real big, bold wines that typically come out of Australia. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. This is a medium purple, no artifacts, no cloudiness. All right, so on the nose, I guess before I get into the nose, so the reason I picked Clare Valley is, well, it's mostly known for Riesling, and it does have some of the best Riesling in the world, in my opinion. I've never really gotten anything out of Clare Valley that I just did not love. However, it also has the environment to grow some really powerful red wines. So you'll get some Cabernet Sauvignon out of there and Shiraz. And the reason why they're kind of really big and powerful is because it's pretty warm during the day. So it allows for the vines to grow, the grapes to ripen, and kind of do a lot of that nice sugary concentration that they do as they're getting ready to harvest. But then at night it's cold, so it preserves that acid. It's not something that's always going all the time. So you get these nice wines that tend to have a pretty good acid, have very ripe flavors, very strong structure. So that's why I decided to go with this instead of something like Barossa Valley, which is a little bit to the south, or Eden Valley. So let's get to the nose. Pronounced nose, wow. Wow, all the way out here. Woo! Okay, so I'm getting, first thing I'm noticing though, is I am getting a nice like toastiness to this wine. Like it has a little bit of like a burnt toast, but not like so burnt it's offensive, but it's when you're sitting there and like you're talking to somebody in the morning and then you realize that the toast is just starting to like smoke out of the toast. And you run over and you smack it up and you put it on the thing. That's where this is like. But it's also a little bit buttery too. It's like a buttered, slightly burned toast. I know this sounds so appealing right now. I get that. But it really is. I mean, because you get these really nice black fruit too. Blackberry, a bit of black cherry, touch of plum. There's this really kind of, it kind of reminds me of Coonawarra Cabernet. It's almost like a little bit like a eucalyptus type thing going on. I don't know if that's just messing with me or not. There's a little bit of like a Brettanomyces, like a little bit of a barnyard effect going on. A little bit of, just a slight touch of earth. Really nice, strong black pepper note on this wine. And maybe raspberry. There's like a touch of a really almost tart raspberry coming out of here. Yeah, anyway, so enough with how it smells. Let's get to the taste. Okay, that is interesting. Okay, not in a bad way. Man, it really feels like it should be having some sort of age because there's a good amount of earth coming in there, a little bit of like a leathery effect, just a little bit. Tannins, medium plus tannins. I'm not sure how to describe these tannins. More of like a kind of full mouthfeel type of tannin. They're not gritty, they're not sandy, they're not chewy, they're not scratchy, they're just there. So like a full coating mouth tannin. The alcohol though, that's what I'm kind of like going, whoa. So the acid, as soon as you get it hit, medium plus acid, fruit intensity is pronounced. All that is like really hitting, and it hits you really hard on the approach and in the mid palate. And then all of a sudden, the alcohol creeps in. It's like Batman jumping off a roof when you're trying to get away from robbing a bank. It's like you think you're home free, and then all of a sudden you're curb stomped into unconsciousness and you're going to prison. That's kind of what the alcohol does with this wine. It just jumps out of nowhere and just, for lack of a better word, beats the shit out of your palate. Even going into the finish, the alcohol was I know it's not technically a high alcohol wine. It tastes like a high alcohol wine. It tastes like it's 15.5 to 16% ABV. It's pretty strong. I'm wondering if you let this thing air out for a really long time, if it would settle down and actually behave itself. Be more like Robin than Batman. Yeah. Okay. So that, like I said, it's really here. In terms of finish, medium finish. It could go longer, but I feel like the alcohol starts making the palate turn bitter. Like there's this bitter note to it. It's like a bitter chocolate. Oh, maybe that's what it is. It's like a super dark chocolate, like 85+%. That's the bitterness. I mean, the alcohol is really strong, but there's this really super dark chocolate note going into the finish on this. And then that with this really bitter dark chocolate with the earth. Like I said, it could go on for a while. Now, if you're a really big fan of super dark chocolate and dirty dark chocolate, then yeah, this wine will have a long finish for you. For me, yeah, it kind of becomes out of balance on my finish about halfway through. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the Blick. In terms of balance, half a point. The alcohol is just really what does it for me here. It throws my palate so out of balance when I'm drinking it that after a certain point it just becomes bitter and not enjoyable to me. And I feel like the alcohol is really enhancing that bitterness in the chocolate, and that doesn't help things. Now on the flip side, if it was lower ABV, yeah, I mean it could be pretty good. Or if there was a way to tone back some of that dark chocolate note and kind of get rid of that thing that's playing off the bitterness. And I know I chose this because it was supposed to be a powerful Shiraz, and I was right, it is a powerful Shiraz. But the dark chocolate thing is just kind of messing with me today. So anyway, half a point. Length, medium finish for me, half a point. If you're really a big fan of dirty dark chocolate, then I mean, you'll probably have a longer finish on this, maybe even long, but for me, half a point. Intensity, I can't knock you here. Full point for intensity. You did pretty darn well here. And in terms of complexity, I'm gonna give you half a point. You do have some secondary, but not much. You do have some tertiary. It's starting to develop a little bit, but not much. You have really good black fruit notes. Really good black fruit notes. The thing I would wish is I want actually more diversity of fruit. Like I kind of, like that raspberry is barely there. Maybe you had like, if you had red fruit and black fruit, and then maybe a little bit stronger on that barrel note. And yeah, I don't know, maybe as it ages it'll change character, but it's only worth half a point in my opinion. So ultimately that gives you 2.5 points. I'm gonna give you good. I think you're a good wine. I will enjoy you. However, though, I will say this, I don't think this is a wine that is necessarily a solo drinker. You probably want to enjoy it with some food to kind of play off of the characteristics of the wine. Dark chocolate could probably work, because like I said, it's already there. Or maybe dark chocolate covered fruit, that would probably be better, because then you get a little bit of that fruitiness and the dark chocolate effect playing off each other. Barbecue, as Vince mentioned, would be a great option for this. Burgers, smoked things, I mean, all of that stuff really falls into this category. Some types of pizza could probably work well with this too. So, I mean, there's lots of different things that you can kind of play around with on this. But, or, I mean, just if you want to go straight into steak, just get a steak. I'm always happy to pair a red wine with a steak when it works out. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a solo drinker, but like I said, it's not a bad wine if you got one. Anyway, this has been Stuart with Wine on the Dime. If you liked today's video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Have you had the 2017 Clarevale Shiraz? I'd be interested to know if you have. Also, don't forget to stop by and take a look at Vince's channel. He does some cool content. He posts a video normally once a week. And, I don't know, maybe it never hurts to have another opinion out there whenever you're doing the wine reviews in case you think I'm on crack. Anyway, I'll see you all again soon with another episode from Wine on the Dime. In the meantime, well, I guess I'm just going to have to go buy a steak now. Shucks. I'll see y'all later.